come and gone, wins and losses, what worked, what didn't, what flopped, but most importantly, what did you learn? To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. Jed's wins and lessons today. And you know what, DJ? I just realized I never changed this.
You did it?
Nice. So we'll have to change that, brother. We have our first good morning here because Jeff automatically loses because he's on the show.
Congratulations, Lisa.
Congrats, Lisa. Jeff, congrats for last week. That's why you joined us this week. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Hey, guys. So I think out of courtesy, because Jeff is our guest, Jeff should start with his wins and lessons this week. But what a week. Like, I just want to take a moment and embrace the week. I mean, we had awesome guests on the show this week. We really hope you enjoyed it. To all our guests that were on the show, y'all were awesome and amazing. And we've just actually confirmed that Brian will be here once a month with us. So he's going to come in every month. He's coming back on June 23rd, which is going to be super cool. So we're going to do kind of a monthly thing. Next month, we're going to talk about the pyramid of success and how the baseline stacks on top of everything. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be incredible. Jeff, brother Bear, kick us off, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, my friend. Hey, so it was a definitely a trying week for myself. Let's start off with wins. So the wins won a very large account, about 900 loads annually. So it's not small, but pretty good. And I've got a backup coming down the pike as well. Been working towards it. So it took a little bit of time, but can't rush into those kind of things. And the loss, or the lesson, I should say, was talking to a customer that didn't.
Oh, froze on us, brother.
He's frozen.
Maybe the customer's watching. It just came off.
Yeah, customers watching, or the lesson is we need faster internet.
There you go. I'm done.
Jeff, you froze there, brother. I don't know what happened. We lost you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened either. The whole thing went off. And so the lesson, the takeaway was talking with the prospect, a big opportunity, and they basically said, "Hey, we've done business with you before. We don't want to do anything with you." I was
talked about this, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like unbelievable. They didn't even know who I was. I know through an associate of mine who recommended me and stuff like that. But I think it had to do with different agencies that they've worked with, because I am a Landstar agent, and another one, I don't know, just blew it for me. And instead of having, one bad loss, it's a loss for many people because of a bad egg. What can I say? It's just, it's terrible, but you move on. I'm not done. I'm going to talk to him some more. And
well, now the sales just begun because they said no.
What's that?
I said now the sales just begun because they said no.
Absolutely. But hey, you got to be honest with this. It's not peaches and cream by any means, and you got to work towards those goals and objectives. And even though you get a no, it's basically a yes. So
but in actuality, you got to know because of a used car salesman.
Yes,
pretty much.
Your no came because somebody else that happened to be a Landstar agent gave them a bad taste in their mouth, and then it's kind of snowballed down to you. Because when we were speaking, you were like, "Dude, this account was almost a go," and then somebody above the guy you're dealing with says, "Whoa, hold on, this name on paper is allowing previous issues to dictate their future decisions," which I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of people do that. It's crazy.
It's nuts. And, we discussed this before. There's a lot of unethical people out there that are dishonest, and their integrity is, through the floor. They don't really care, and it's all about the almighty
through the floor.
dollar.
I love that analogy, brother. That's really good, because usually you go through the
was
roof
good.
when it's like huge. You go through the floor. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous, you know. I mean, my customers can attest to my the way that I do business, and that's all that matters to me. So, when somebody does that, I just laugh and move on, man. Been doing it for a long time. It's just like, okay, move on, But
yeah,
yes, sir.
I hear you.
Yes,
I hear you. Mr. Ridley, what is your wins and lessons?
Yeah.
Morning, folks. Morning. Very tired, very emotional, but that's very typical for a Friday morning.
I just thought you meant you were sensitive.
Oh, well, I am a sensitive guy. I am. Like we said, not to go to. And one of my wins actually is every couple of months, my son's school will do they'll call all the parents in. Like when I was at school, it was like once a year, and you were dragged in, and your parents were dragged in, and then we would go home, and my parents would be disappointed pretty much every time. But like with my son's school, it's like every 2 months they do like a thorough review. So we had his like end of year review yesterday, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And just the way that the teachers were like just gushing over his like just development, the way he is as a human, the way that he demonstrates empathy. Like I'm having to sit there with my head down, pretending that I'm taking notes, and I've just got these like little tears just starting to stream. So I am an emotional individual, and that for me was very much a win.
Is that because he's so much like his mother?
Oh, jeez, mate, there's no way that he takes after me in any way, straight. Like, and again, not to monopolize as I usually do, but like my wife is a straight A student from the day that she was born right the way, through to now. I think one time she got an A-, and that was like devastating, and she had to, spend weeks getting over it. When I remember telling her one time, I came home from school and I said to my parents, like, I got a D. And my wife was like, "Oh Christ, what happened? Did they like beat you? Were you like grounded?" I'm like, "No, that was the best score anybody had ever got in my family. My dad was popping the champagne. That was a win for us." So anyway, that just goes to show that I was an idiot at school. So hopefully I'm not like that in the office. But Jeff, something you just said there, it cracked up on me a little bit. I don't know if that was you or my side where I'm at, but it made it sound like somebody had a bad experience with your company, and that left a bad taste in their mouth, and that is then reflecting, if you will, on you. And that for me is again, it's not necessarily a lesson, but it's a reminder that whoever you're dealing with, just bear in mind that at some stage they might move on somewhere else as well. So if you treat them badly, that company is already now like hating you and everything about you. That individual will also move on and will hate you as well as that new company will, even though you've never really dealt with them. So that's a for me, it's just a good reminder that
such a great point.
Giving anything less than 100% of what you possibly can is, it's not gonna work for you. And other wins this week. We've won another bunch of business this week. It's really taken off. Strangely, individuals as well, like sending buying houses internationally. All of a sudden, we're starting to get these recommendations coming through. So, like today, we did a trade for somebody in Switzerland. They're buying a house in the UK, so they sold a bunch of Swiss francs and bought a bunch of sterling to close on a house today. It's really bizarre. So that's it's been really a good week from that perspective. Other lessons: don't rush in.
Yeah.
So and it's okay to say no.
Boy, is that a life lesson though, man?
Right? Don't rush in, because I think we rushed in with good intentions to help somebody. They were in a bit of a pickle. And by doing so, like not all of the ducks were in a row, and so it didn't work out as well as it probably could have. Not through necessarily any fault of our own, other than the fact that we rushed in. And I should have stood the line and said, look, we just can't help you this time around. We, as much as you say, look, I'm going to try and help you, and here are 1,000 caveats as to like what can potentially go wrong. All anybody's listening to is, you can help me. None of the caveats are listened to. So So we rushed into to something to help somebody, and maybe we should have just said, look, we want the business, but we should do it the right way. So
that's like the theme in transportation, buddy. Friday afternoon, last minute, customer calls. You're like, yeah, I'll do it. Gets stuck at customs. It's a complete nightmare over the weekend because we didn't, as a sales rep, we didn't stop and say, whoa, I got a third of the ducks I need in order for this pack to cross the street. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Or you take that one load that you shouldn't have, and you're like, oh well, this is a customer I've been working with, and you're like, no, I shouldn't have taken that.
It's kind of like, how many golf swings have you said in your head? I'll fix it on the way down.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
You get to the top of your swing and you're like, this doesn't feel right at all. You're like, I'll fix it on the way down. Cause I'm a professional golfer. Right. And it's just you're all over the golf just because you fix it on the way. It just doesn't work. No, man. Don't.
Hey, you know something? Another lesson, Mark, is that, hey, look, it's not always, gravy doing this kind of work, but you can't take it to heart, man. You can't take it. Look, I still have hair on my head, after all these years, tribulations and everything like that. I mean, seriously, you have to move on. You can't just get honed in on that bad experience and let that define who you are and what you're all about, man. You got to move forward, So,
so DJ, take your hat off for a sec. Take your hat off for a sec, DJ. So what's your secret, Jeff? Because you're three guys here that have very little. We're follically challenged, to say the least.
He doesn't have 5 kids and a grandkid. That might be one secret. That might be one secret.
I only have the one child.
Same here.
One child.
Yep.
Two.
There you go. Go.
DJ's got us beat by threefold. Us combined is him times a 0.5.
Plus he's a grandpa.
I wanted to win by, I love it, but it's not a competition I wanted to win. So.
You got to learn every day. You got to learn every single day. That's what I love this industry, man. I'll tell you, it's challenging. It's fun. You get blindsided every single day. No 2 days are the same. There's no way, man. In all the years that I've been doing this, you can't wake up in the morning and think that yesterday is going to happen again today. It's not. It's going to change.
Isn't that one of the best things about this industry?
It's great. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And meeting all the new people.
Exciting, really.
It is. And you meet all these new people and you help them, with solutions and solving their problems and attacking it from different ways that other people don't do. I mean, that's what it's all about, but it's a shame that a lot of people just look at that dollar, that money, and then they forget about why they're doing this kind of business in the first place. You got to take care of that customer. They're the most important thing.
Well, you know what, Jeff? It comes from a lot of the recruiting. It comes from a lot of the recruiting processes. I mean, I can remember hundreds of salespeople being walked through the office, shown the top sales reps. Oh yeah, this guy made 1.3. This person did this, and it's like that. You got to put in a lot of effort and energy, and almost, I think in general, for the most part, I mean, there's some companies that are straight down to earth, but for the most part, there's this, there's millions to be made here for very little work. Like if you look at, and I know, Jeff, you and I talked about this months ago. Like if you look at some of the people selling sales courses or selling dispatch courses, become a dispatcher and, you can work from Mexico with a laptop and a phone and make, $100,000. And it's like, yes, there is an element to that because being a salesperson, you can work anywhere in the world you want, as long as you're selling, communicating with your home base and moving freight and being of value. But there's so many pieces of the puzzle that are not told to salespeople in the hopes to get them in. Because our industry, especially now, is probably one of the toughest sells you will ever make. Because as we've had customer after customer on the show, they can't be wrong. They have no more time to test. This has to be right on the get-go.
Yep, just like Greg said. Yep.
Well, like Greg said, and then even, John seconded it this week.
Absolutely.
And it's like we have to be at the top of our game. And here's the thing. People want to deal with professionals. I ask all of you, you're going to hire somebody. Do you hire the non-professional or the one that seems more professional and knows what they're doing? Like it's fairly simple. We want to deal with the best. I think we all do. I mean, sorry, I shouldn't say that like
Absolutely.
as if everybody does, but I would hope everybody wants to deal with the best. So whatever they do, whatever they're working with, it's like the best of the best we want.
Right. And you know
sometimes
something,
you have
Dan?
to pay for it.
Yeah. And Dan, you know what? Don't be afraid to hire somebody smarter than you.
Oh, it's the way to go.
I mean, that is
That's
absolutely the way to go. You know,
if you want to succeed, that's what you should be doing.
Absolutely. And the thing is that where a lot of leaders fail is that their subordinates and people that are in the trenches day in and day out, they don't bring them into the inner circle. And these guys and women out there know more than you do. And if you just gave them the opportunity to come and join and speak their part, you would learn volumes from them. Volumes.
Kenneth says it best. He says, "I have a new job every morning."
Yes,
like,
and I was going to say, so the people who enjoy this, like Jeff, you brought up a great point. It's the out of the box thinkers, the creative problem solvers. That's the people who really enjoy this industry, like Kenneth said, because it's always even the same load. There might be something that changes, something that goes different. Same lane. I mean, it's always different. It seems like every load, there's always so many variables, you have no clue what's next. And
can I make a bold statement for everyone? It's okay. Can I do that? Okay, I'm gonna do it. I thought okay. Hold on. Okay. I forget that comedian, but he was funny.
Pesci.
Leo Getz. Yeah. okay. That was on
Lethal Weapon.
Mel Gibson.
Lethal
Weapon. Leo Getz. I love that. Way to go, Mark. Okay, bold statement. If you don't love what you do, and if you're not here to help, get the fuck out of the business.
Get out.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I say that with all due respect is because really it comes down to what Jeff just experienced this week. Like if you are not in this game for the long run, please do yourself a favor. I'm sure I've told you guys a story when I was a sales trainer. I, gave this motivational, inspirational speech to this guy on a Friday. He comes back on a Monday, hands his resignation. I go, well, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, you taught me that this isn't what I want to do. He went and became a police officer. But it's like, right, police officer salary to salesperson salary. Like you're talking, but it's what he wanted to do. Right. It's what he loved. Was his passion. So if you're not passionate about this industry, and if you're not willing to put in the work to get to the point where you can serve at the highest levels possible and give our industry a great name, please get out and let the professional step in, as opposed to doing what happened with Jeff. Something
otherwise
an agent for a corporation.
You're giving Landstar a bad name. You're giving 3PLs a bad name. You're giving brokers a bad name. You're giving everybody a bad name.
And I'll tell you,
here's the thing. You go in to be an agent because you hear about the money, right? Like, think about it. If you're going to be even a cradle to grave or whatever the case is, it's like, it's the money. Like, how many of you got into this industry? Well, Jeff, maybe you're a little bit different because you were on the shipper side. But I got into the industry because I was told about the kind of money I could make. DJ, same thing. Most people that get into this industry, it's because of the dollar. It's because of the choice that you want and to make a lot of money.
Hey, I tell you, Dan. Before I joined Landstar used to work for me when I was at Panasonic, and they knocked it out of the park. And I had other companies that I was looking at, but Landstar is a great company. They do a lot of good things. It's a shame that they get a bad rap, but they've done a great job for me, and that's why I became, a certified intermodal agency for Landstar, and it's been great. It's just a shame that sometimes these unethical agents, not just for Landstar, it could be TQL, it could be C.H. Robinson, it could be anybody, they think they're hiring somebody that has that talent and is going to be ethical, and they're not. They're quite the opposite, and they just give companies the bad name, and it's a shame. It's a real shame.
I mean, if you look at the agent model, right, it's a back end. Like with Landstar, it's a network. It's a back end. It's a network of drivers. It's an internal load board. But most agencies, they're a back end. They're an invoicing system. They're a prepayment system. Most people get money in like a week or 2 weeks instead of 35, 40 days. Like, it's just a back end system, and it's a name. And that's why you get higher margins of your GP, because it's a back end system and it's supposed to run like clockwork. Like, as that part of it, the name, the reputation is what your salespeople bring and your operational people bring. And, you know, I've often looked at it and said, as a company, everyone that's employed under your company, agent, non-agent, like employee, whatever it is, like they are your Google review in essence, right? And it's like, we really need to pay attention. I mean, I told you guys, I'm sure I've told you guys a story. Like, I remember sitting down with salespeople that were hired and saying, okay, what is it you really want to do? I want to own a bakery. And I'm like, what are you doing in logistics? Oh, yeah, no. In 2 years, I'm owning a bakery. Oh, no, this is just a stepping stone. I want to be a metallurgist.
See that?
So I'm applying to be a metallurgist every day while I'm here collecting a paycheck. It's like, why are you even here?
I think that's I think that's the worst idea. I've worked with so many people like that. Got out of college, they want to do something else, but they're doing sales because it was just what everybody else is doing or what they told them. Don't do that. Don't do that. If you want to be a baker or own a bakery, work at a bakery then first, and then, I mean, start with what you want to do. But
right.
Kenneth says again, he goes, my first year in business, I ended the year with a loss of $1,100. Without the love, I would have been out. A year's worth of working, and you lose $1,100. Like, guys, think about this, right? You think about, you know, everybody talks about, oh, Edison and 10,000 times to make a light bulb. Well, you know, let's take a step forward in the future. Sir James Dyson created 5,127 prototypes of the first Dyson vacuum. 5,127. How many of you would make 5,127 calls before getting your first customer? Right? Think about, I don't even know if I would, to be honest with you. I'm like, that's a lot of calls, man.
I'll tell you, Dan, you know what? Yeah, Kenneth, you know, here's a guy, Kenneth, right, that just posted that. He had a passion. He was willing to lose that $1,100. He didn't back out of it. He believed in his capabilities and kept moving forward, even though, you know, he had a bad year. And those are the kind of people that stay in the industry because they believe in themselves and what they're doing, and they keep pushing forward.
Yes.
So if you did 5,127 calls, it would be 7 days a week, 14 calls a day for an entire year, never getting a customer. Like, right?
That would suck.
I can tell you now. I'd have to question like my sales ethic or something about that situation. if I'm a week into that and I haven't got a customer yet, I'll be like, yeah, this is
okay. Well, hold on. Shit. Not only not getting a customer, getting no. Because when you do a prototype and it breaks or it blows up, you're like, okay, well that didn't work, right? So it's not even like, oh my gosh, I think they're warm, or it's just not the right day. We'll close them in a month. It's like, no, take a hike. 5,000, 14 calls a day, 7 days a week for an entire year.
I suppose it's a bit like us sending like 5,000 global payments and hoping that one day we're going to get one of these to the right beneficiary. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
There you go, Mark.
Hey,
there's
somebody
like
4,900 into their bank account.
That's it. You got 4,900 randoms around the world that are like.
Yeah. All right, DJ, what do you got, brother? What's your wins and lessons this week?
Well, so I'm just going with the win this week, really because the week has been amazing, and you guys even led it to exactly the quote and what I really wanted to get into. So with Josh, man, having you on Tuesday and your run, good luck, dude. Amazing. I seen, if you guys didn't see his video yesterday about Ronald McDonald House, I actually wasn't even going to talk about this, but I am going to talk about this now because it triggered it. But he brought up that because of this project he's doing, Ronald McDonald House, he was questioning it, even questioned the validity of it because we know that there are some charities out there that most of the money doesn't go there. But so he got a call from his uncle, and his uncle told him a story he did not know about the Ronald McDonald House that tied it really even bigger than before. And I was like, holy cow. But this week of just that, and then Brian being on yesterday and being mindful, when I did that and when that changed, and what I could tell you is, so I haven't had any of the nice things in my mind. I've had it all, but I haven't had it. But was watching something with Ed Milet and Jay Shetty, and they said a quote from Jim Carrey of, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer." Because things, status, goals, the destination is not the answer. It's not where happiness comes from. It's not where any of that comes from. It is what you are doing and who you are affecting and helping others and how you're helping them. I cannot what I've been able to see from just really opening up, and that was my drive for the longest time was those things, because I thought as a kid, I went to private school, didn't really have a lot. Starter was big. You guys are my age. Dan, you probably will really remember.
My mom worked at Starter.
That was like the thing. You were cool if you had Starter back then. We couldn't afford Starter, but I thought it was cool, and I thought that's what you had to do to be cool. And it was and we see this our whole lives. We think that it's something else that gets us where we want to be when we don't need any of that. You don't need any of that.
You know, it's funny you say that, DJ. My mom worked at Starter. We grew up dirt poor. Like, we grew up in kind of like a project area in Quebec, and my mom worked at Starter, and all my buddies thought I was loaded because all I had was Starter gear. But my mom would get it, like, it'd be a defect in the Michael Jordan like screen print shirt, right? And I remember going to Jamaica, and I packed an entire suitcase of Starter gear. And that was my money for a month. Like, anything that, it was so cool. And Starter was like it was just when Jordan was coming out, and just like when all the Air Jordan, like it was. So it's funny that you brought that up, because that was one of the things in my childhood where I was like,
but you know what I'm saying? Starter was like the thing. I mean, I remember one of my friends who had Starter because he was, cool, or I thought it was cool. Got jumped from kids on on the playground to steal his jacket
for the LA Raiders jacket. Yeah, man.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
But then thinking of that and listening to that really just tied this whole week together with Brian, with Josh, with the mission, with everything. And it was like, we talked about it last week, but I'm really we got a holiday weekend coming up. You got 4 days. Just value the time and think of. So another big thing from Ed Milet, don't know if anybody watches him, love the dude. He's kind of big, scary looking dude, but man, huge heart. And he says his one big thing about maxing life is doing one more. And so I've always carried that strategy from listening to him. So when I'm ready to quit, the one more call, the one more text to a friend, one more this, the one more, whatever.
That's what Bob Berg talks about all the time too. At the end of the day, when you're ready to go, one more call.
Yeah, just one more. When you're ready to quit, just do it. One more. Push yourself to do one more. And then that way, and what it did for me was help make me not have regrets that maybe I didn't do enough. Because for a long time, I feel like I wasn't doing enough. But then the thing that this video really tied everything together was, he was like, think of if this, instead of one more, think of this as the last time. Is this the last time you're going to talk to that person? Is this the last time you're going to see that person? Is this the last time you're going to, and think of that this weekend, and just seriously, pay attention to those buckets. Josh talked about it: spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. Make sure you're checking into those daily, guys.
That's good. We've got Meg. Dan, you send 5,000 emails and you wouldn't waste as much time. And get cut off again. Thanks, Meg. Appreciate the tip.
Spam. It's spam. It's not spam.
Is that another troll? Do we have another troll here? Just joking, Meg. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you in that category at all. I don't care what DJ says. You're awesome. So, one thing, big thing I think this week for me was coming to another level on what's possible during the day. I'll go back to Josh again. Very inspiring conversation. The desire to do what it takes to get things done and the kind of theme that I saw throughout the week, and what Brian was talking about, and kind of what Wednesday went to, and where Monday DJ, if we start going through the videos this week, like everything was in theme, and Monday was a total that kind of felt like it set the theme. Take care of the small stuff, and the big stuff will take care of itself. And that is from so many different levels in our life and business. And, you sit there and you get, overwhelm kicks in, and we have to stop as individuals, as high performers, as people that truly do want to do our best, be our best, and always know there's a couple of rungs above. I think a lot of the times we look 5 rungs up above, or we compare ourselves or something we're not good at to something that somebody else is good at. Right. And I think it creates this massive juxtaposition and gap that we have to bridge in our life. And one rung at a time. Most people go upstairs one step at a time, right? You don't try and jump 7 steps. You clip your toes, you face plant, you lose your teeth, then you're like in the woods where Mark is. So it's like, you're like, I threw that in, Mark, just so y'all know, Mark's at a cabana in the woods in the middle of nowhere. And we were talking about all in the neighborhood. So that's what all kind of went in. Yeah. You guys don't hear it going on outside Mark's window. So yeah, just that calmness, that take a step back, that internalize, that was kind of a big prevalent one for me this week. And the ROI of kindness. I think Brian, the conversation wasn't even supposed to go that route yesterday. And I look at the ROI of kindness, and I have, conversations with Dean Crook this week about him helping people outside who just Dean, Dean everyone knows, Dean is the man. He has, since Sales Chatter has started on Wednesdays, he's been bombarded by people in the industry. Hey, can you give me some data on this? Hey, can you give me some data on that? And this man is just
run a list of quotes.
Yeah. I mean, Dean, if you're watching, listening, Dean, you are a true go-giver, because, you try and help every which way you can, and it's awesome. And, that ROI of kindness, I think, goes a long way. And it's at every step in your journey. I think we just got to reintroduce ourselves to that mission, that understanding, that vibe every day is the ROI of kindness. No matter what's happening. I mean, guys, how many times have, somebody cut you off on the way to work, and you go into work and you're like losing your marbles? I've seen it hundreds of times. Like, this person cut me off, and like 2 hours later, the person's still talking about it. It's like, did you realize that person that cut you off has gone to work and totally forgot about the entire situation? Well, you're allowing them to control your life right now.
Even the flip side of that, maybe they cut you off because they just got a call that their 2-year-old, they were part of that family that just, I heard a story of the mom driving 40 miles because her kids were in that school in Texas. I mean, what if that's why they cut you off? You have no idea.
That's a really good point. Because I think in my younger life, I was definitely the aggressor. So Dan, to your point, I would go into the office, and that would be on my mind all day. And it's my energy that I'm burning, and it's my customers and my colleagues and my family that are suffering just because of that. And I'm going to do air bunnies, idiot. But to your point, Dan, DJ, like, they're not really.
Mark just did air bunnies, by the way, guys. You don't know what the circumstances are of that individual. So like when I do get cut up now, rather than like just go back to my youthful rage, I'm like, you know what? I don't know what's going on. And quite frankly, I don't really care, because I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to, this is my life, my day. And actually, just to close out, circling back to, I think, something that Jeff was alluding to earlier on, and probably the theme of earlier on as well, about like, why we're doing this, not chasing the dollar. Like, I think that it's fair to say that the 4 of us have gotten to know each other quite well, and we're all very like-minded in the sense that, we are collaborative, and we do want to help. And it is not just about trying to become like multi-millionaires. And I've seen it time and time again, probably as you get older, those that do like attain that wealth, of course, I'm sure they're happy when they're sitting on several $1 billion. But the reality is, like, for me, like the chase is gone. Like, I'm not going to turn down a lottery win if like somebody says there's 250 million bucks. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to be sitting there at the end of the day, or I would be anyway, thinking like, well,
what next? Like the hustle is gone. Like I enjoy the hustle. I enjoy that kind of like, that graft, because that's all I know. Now, if you got 250 million bucks, you've got time to go and learn something else. But I don't know as I want to learn something else.
But I think you're going to have to want to keep going at something, like maybe, and again, you look at a lot of very wealthy people that are very unhappy. There's also a lot of wealthy people that are very happy. Let's call a spade a spade. But, I've also seen a lot of people that get wealthy, retire, and fade away pretty quick. Yeah. And I'm young, and I've seen a lot of people do this. And I think, to your point, Mark, you kind of, you go out and you start something, maybe a sanctuary for dogs or something, or, like a nonprofit or something, because you have the ability to give back, right? Like the ascension in our life is that, we're in this point where we're providing value, and we want to provide value. The next ascension to that is helping other people understand how they can provide value. Right. And it's essential. It's like if you love a cause and you embrace other people, that gets them to love the cause. That's the next ascension. Right. And it's when you get there, it's amazing, because the ability to see beyond any potential profit, but just the actual transformation. And I'm in a new course that I started this week. And everything they talk about is the transformation. It's not the profit. It's not the product. It's what is the transformation that can happen. Right. And I think, when you think of the transformation, that's where everything changes. Like, hopefully the people we have on this show gives people just that one piece of information that they need to make that transformation into the next level of themselves. And I think it's, I honor all of you, and all of you watching and listening, and you gentlemen here, and all our guests, both past, present, and future.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you're a big contributor to that next level of transformation. So thank you. DJ, what do you got to pull us out today, brother?
Dude, that was awesome. Great show, guys. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for always being there in the morning for us too. Seriously, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us like you do weekly. Centurion Trucking, American Logistics. Obviously, thank you for making this possible. Dan, man, I can't ever thank you enough for asking me to do this with
goes both ways, my man.
Quote to take us out. All right, so this is I guess it goes with the concept of Jay Shetty, but it's from a Buddhist monk, and it is: mindfulness gives you time. Time gives you choices. Choices skillfully made lead to freedom. What's your freedom, guys?
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance